This is the playbook you must do in order to become uber successful. And if you find any value here, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Number one, you must write down exactly what you want out of your life. And what I mean by this is you got to have a playbook. You know, Bill Belichick of the Patriots, he doesn't go show up on Sundays in the fall without a playbook. He has a playbook. He has plays that he has to run in order to ensure that he can win the game that Sunday. It's the same thing with Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr doesn't show up on the hardwood for the Warriors every night and not have plays ready to go. You got to have a playbook. So in essence, you got to write down exactly what you want for the next 3 months, the next 6, the next year, and the next 5 years. Exactly what you want. And make it realistic. You know, if you're fucking 400 pounds, don't be like, I want to be 200 pounds in 3 months. It's not going to happen. You know, if you're dead broke, don't be like, yo, in a year, I want to be a millionaire. It's not to say it can't happen, but for most of y'all, it's not going to happen. Most of the millionaires I know, it took them at least 3 to 5 years to get to where they got. It didn't happen that quick. But 3 to 5 years, you know, anybody can do that if they really apply themselves. Number 2, you gotta post this playbook. Write it down, post this shit. And I'm not saying put it in your phone and put it in your notes and Evernote and all that shit. I'm saying you need to write this shit down. You need to post it on your refrigerator, post it on your wall. Maybe you need to do get a whiteboard and write out all your goals there. Maybe you need to do this. There's a cool thing called chalkboard paint. Get you some chalkboard paint. Paint a wall in your house with chalkboard. And then get some chalk and write down all of your goals so you can see this shit every single day. But don't just put it in your phone. Because if you don't write it down, it doesn't have the same power as if you just put it in your phone or you just talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And this one right here, number 3, this is going to be the hardest one for the average person to do. This is why 90% of y'all watching this are not going to be in the top 10% of anything in life. You're going to be Joe Average. And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with being average. There's nothing wrong with being average. You know, I think more people need to embrace that. Don't think just because you exist, you are a special person. You're not. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is the extraordinary person puts in the extra work. Ordinary people don't do research, they don't work, they just expect shit to be handed to them just because they merely exist. We ain't talking about ordinary people, we're talking about extraordinary people. My friends, my colleagues, people I deal with, extraordinary people. People who make $400,000, $500,000 a year. People who are worth millions of dollars in their net worth. Extraordinary. If you want to become a part of that, the number 3 thing is going to be something that you're probably not going to want to do. And that's sacrifice. Sacrifice going out. Sacrifice the escapism in your life. Trust me, I understand, man. When I was barely barely surviving in life and I wasn't thriving, I had so much escapism around me. I was drinking too much. I was eating too much. I was hanging out with losers. And when you're a loser, you don't even realize you're a loser. Most people can't even admit that they're a loser. I was a loser at one point. I had this loser mentality. I was hanging out with losers. And then I started to lose because you are an average of 5 people around you. Jim Rome said that shit, and that is true. If you hang out with 4 people or 5 people that are, woe is me, my life sucks, you're going to be the 5th. If you're hanging out with 5 dope fiends, you're going to become a dope fiend. You dig what I'm saying? So I don't really think people understand this thing. Like, you know, energy is contagious and it's infinite. So, you know, I talked about in my last video, you got to keep the unlucky away from you, period. So the next thing, like I said, is you must cut off all escapism. You must sacrifice. If you're not willing to and you can talk to anybody that's a top 10%er in life. What did they have to do? They had to sacrifice. They had to sacrifice those nights going out to the bar, hanging out with losers. They had to sacrifice those nights, those days eating bullshit comfort foods. You know what I'm saying? They had to sacrifice all types of things in their life to get to where they got. You know, you gotta sacrifice in order for the goodness to come in life. You did? It's like right now, I'm in the middle of a weight loss journey. I'm trying to lose an extraordinary amount of weight. I have to sacrifice eating the comfort foods, the pastas, the pastor tacos, all the bullshit. I got to sacrifice drinking in order for me to lose. I'm trying to lose 40 pounds. And that's the only way it's going to happen is if I sacrifice. I got the money. I have the wife. Now it's time to get back in shape. You dig? So I have to sacrifice. And it's the same thing for you. If you want to get to where you want in life, you gotta sacrifice, bro. You have to. You have to. Because having that survival instinct of living in this age of mediocrity, and I understand it because I've been there. Like when I was broke, I was on Twitter and Instagram way too much. I was on YouTube way too much. I was playing too many fucking video games. I was drinking too much. I was eating my feelings, drinking my feelings. I was just looking for escapism because my reality was so meek and dark and fucked up. And in order for you to come from that place of living fucked up to being in a place of abundance, you first must change your mindset, build your playbook, and then the third one, like I said, is you must sacrifice. And if you're not willing to sacrifice, you're not going to win. You'll never be a 10%er. You'll never be in the top 10% of anything if you ain't willing to sacrifice. I don't give a fuck if it's sports or if it's academics or if it's your professional life or if it's maybe you want to have an incredible marriage, but you got to sacrifice. You can't be willing to just give your dick to everything with a fat ass. Ladies, you can't be willing. You looking for a top 10% dude, you got to be a top 10% woman. You can't be average Andy or average Sally and be like, and expect that an extraordinary 10% person is going to come your way. You got to be a 10% of yourself. And anybody can become a 10%er, period. You just got to put the work in. Are you willing to do the research? Are you willing to not go out? Are you willing to invest? You know what? I'm not going to drink for the next 6 months, man. You know what? I'm going to take the money I would take from drinking and shit, and I'm going to invest that shit into my education and learning more about the stock market, learning more about options trading, how we teach this shit at circa84.com. You know what I mean? Sacrifice. If you want to know what it takes to make this, make that, and that, it took sacrifice. These guys had to sacrifice. I had to sacrifice. You know, I had to sacrifice. I had to eat top ramen noodles and PB&J sandwiches before I can get to the place now to where I can go spend $400 or $500 at a dinner with me and my wife and not even bat a fucking eye, because I know residually I'm gonna make that shit back tomorrow. Sacrifice. And you know the main sacrifice you might have to make? You might have to get rid of those loser friends of yours who ain't going nowhere in life, who would love for you not to go anywhere neither. Because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Eventually, you start bossing up and getting to the bag. Whether you decide to cut them off, they will cut you off. So come sacrifice them. Come fuck with the 10%ers. Hell, I'm a 1%er. As much money I make. But you understand what I'm saying. Let's go back in retrospect. Number one, you got to have a playbook. Number two, you must have this shit posted somewhere in your house. And number three, you got to sacrifice something. You got to sacrifice the escapism. You got to sacrifice dealing with losers. Most people are fucking losers. Most people will never know what it feels like to ride in a luxury car. Most people will never know what it feels like to see $1 million sitting in their brokerage. Most people will never know what it feels like to get to be a landlord of their own fucking properties. Most people will never know what it feels like to make $15,000 in one day legally. Most people will never know what it feels like to be able to pay their mother-in-law's house off like that. It's not going to happen if you're an average Andy, or average Alicia. Come fuck with us. Circa84.com. Peace and love.